Jon Tucker, welcome. Welcome to Elite League Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
What did you do today?
Well, today, showered, started my day with some self-affirmation,
Yeah.
take it a little easy today.
How long you been doing affirmations for?
Probably about, honestly, the last year and a half. Still kind of new, but it's definitely changed my life.
How so?
Just being more confident. The days you feel low, you take that second to remind yourself, you gotten this far. Why are you going to stop now?
So what we're going to dive into today is talking about this far. Okay. Now, something tells me that when you say that, you mean about in life. Yeah. Is there anything important to you about that? Does anything stand out to you more than another when you say this far?
I think for me, just with, my upbringing and my story, it's a unique one. And there's a lot of chapters where you have to look at it and say, I'm thankful for, being here, being able to have the privileges and opportunities I've had. So to have gotten this far in life, to just say, all right, that's it, I'm going to quit. Why would you do that? That's never resonated with me. I've always been a person of, hey, there's something else. There's something else you can do. Yeah, chase after it. Be the best you can be at whatever it is you want to do.
I'm getting pumped up. Reminds me of an Army commercial. Be all you can be. You know the rest of that song?
I don't actually.
It's a rhyme. It's a rhyme. Be all you can be in the Army. You never heard that? Okay, no sweat. It's all good. I don't really watch too much TV either. Going back to your point, what do you have going on right now, Jon, in life and in business? What are you doing? What projects are you working on? I've got to know.
Yeah, so professionally right now, my background is working with fleet electrification companies that want to meet their carbon net emissions targets for 2040 and 2050. 2030 was a big target, but now with the changes that are happening in the US and across the world, we have to take a step back as an industry and say, all right, when is this actually going to happen? But it's going to happen. So like the way in which you see in Austin, my team's responsible for maintaining their EV charging network.
Yeah.
We also have to do continual site analysis to see what is their growth curve. Is it something that they're going to outgrow and we need to put in more stations, or are they a comfortable spot? Also too, I ran different programs for OEMs where the dealerships you see when they get all these cars, I'm the one that's actually putting those programs together. So we install the infrastructure to make sure.
What infrastructure?
The infrastructure for the building. You have to upgrade your infrastructure to be able to support those chargers. Otherwise, it's a fire hazard, code violation. So it's a lot of steps that have to happen before that car that the OEM just built even hits the dealer lot. The dealer itself has to be ready to support that vehicle.
So it sounds like your industry is focused on not just long-term goals, but also the big picture as far as the earth, the health of the earth. Is that right?
Yep.
What specific roles do you play in that? Because it's a big thing.
Right.
And not one person controls all of those things.
Right.
So what do you do there?
Yeah. So my current company, my title is an account manager, but
Yeah.
I also do data analytics too. I have to look at their network, the customers, and say, all right, what are things that we need to be, kept abreast on to make sure something doesn't slip past, And so
what kind of things slip past?
Just the customer outgrows the resources. And then at that point,
What resources?
Us, the company.
Oh.
Because if, say a customer wants to expand their site, we misjudge that, then either they have a deficit of chargers, we don't have the customer support staff, our vendors can't get parts. I mean, that's a lot of things when you have a resource deficit in any project, not just in my industry, but you want to make sure that you're always ready. And then also too, in the past, I've had to sell the EV chargers as well. So
you not only did logistics in a sense, you also did sales in this industry. Yeah. And talk about a place to do it. Would you say Austin is probably at the tip of the spear, aside from maybe, I don't know, Sacramento? No, San Francisco.
Yeah, Austin is a good place to base out of just because you're central of the U.S. I've had to fly to D.C., California to meet with different stakeholders. So it's easy to get to places. But, since the pandemic, Austin has really risen as a tech hub, but also Austinites are very receptive to technology. You might have a lot of people that are not totally sold on autonomous vehicle systems, electrification, all these new buzzword terms you're hearing. But there is a core group that says, hey, there's a new piece of technology that can make getting around a lot easier, or it helps me manage my fleet in a more efficient way that will actually save me money over the course of time, let's look into that. So it's good to see just the growth of the city, because just 4 years ago when I moved here, all the stuff you're seeing now was not here.
All the stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Like what?
I mean,
All these chargers?
the chargers, the vehicles, all these different, sites were not as upgraded. I mean, it's a lot of work across the board for everybody involved that's gone into making Austin a vehicle hub. I mean, I used to never hear of OEMs doing a lot of activations out here and doing a lot of campaigns and whatnot. But now, I mean, I've seen Toyota do stuff out here, Honda, Porsche, Aston Martin. I mean, everybody's coming to Texas to do business.
Wow. Did you expect to be in this space back when you were in, let's say, college, high school, middle school? Were you always a car person, or how'd that take place?
Yeah, so I've always been a car person, go to car shows as a kid and whatnot, but
Yeah.
to see
What do you
myself,
think of the Ford Mustang?
the Mustang, it's a good car, but for me, I like, a heritage to a car,
Yeah.
a really strong one, a heritage that just from the way the vehicle's designed, you can say, yeah, I won X race, this, that, and the other, but what I like to understand is what did it take to build that car and then support it after the fact for it to have earned the legacy that it has in the automotive industry. So, I mean, it's a good car. It does serve a purpose. It does have a legacy. I've worked with Ford before, but I think Ford doesn't really have the depth that usually I look for in brands that I can say, wow, that's a privilege to be able to even sit in that car.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. It was kind of a little sidebar question I had for you, just to mix it up a little bit here. Let's bring it back to the big picture of the EV industry, shall we? Because you got an inside look, and you know a lot of things about this stuff that I personally have no clue about. A lot of people don't. So, what's the trajectory of, let's say, a company like yours? What's their goal? What do they want to do over the next 30, 40 years?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think when the pandemic was basically over, 2021, you saw a lot of companies clamor at the different grants and funding to hedge these different projects. But what I'm seeing now is that, if you're good at one thing, stick to the one thing. Don't try to be a jack of all trades. And so I think what you're going to start seeing is consolidation right now in the industry. Right now is there's going to be winners, there's going to be losers, but the people that win, these are the companies that are playing the long game of, we're going to get there, but it's going to take resources and time. So they're not going to be a company that says, hey, we hear the first buzzword, we're going to allocate funds and get investment funding into that. They want to look at a 10-year or 20-year ROI and say, okay, what is the market going to be like in that time? And there's actually models that, study that.
Do you see them?
I do. I do.
When do you get to see them?
Oh, often.
Are they at your office?
Office, a little bit of everywhere.
So, the model that you're talking about, do they have a name?
No, it's just data models that they're looking at.
Data models. Got it.
Right, because it's just a game of averages of what it's been before to where everything's projected to go. Most companies, they're looking 10 years ahead before we even see things come to light in production. So a lot of this stuff, even though we're seeing it today, was stuff people were envisioning 10 years ago. I mean, look at Tesla, for example. 10 years ago, Tesla was very much a startup company still, very much new to the market. EVs were just not really much of a thing 10 years ago. And now 10 years later, I mean, they are the highest evaluated automotive brand in the entire world. They're not even fully looked at as an automotive brand because they also invest in solar. So now they're also seen as an energy company. So you have to look at that and say, who would have predicted that 10 years ago? So everybody's looking at those 20, 30 to 50 targets because that's how long it's going to take before we really see the lifestyle and the shift in the industry that everybody's talking about.
Yeah.
Because it takes time to get there.
Man. So you said they're number one right now, Tesla. Who's number two? Do you know?
Number two, that was a few years ago I saw.
Is it Lucid?
No, it's not Lucid. Although their design is actually really good. They're set up well in the sense that their battery technology is the best I've seen in the business.
Serious?
They're getting the most range. The biggest question I see with everybody is, what's the range in an electric vehicle? Everything is all over the place. You get a Chevy, you get a BMW, it's all going to be different. And then if you start getting into fleets, I work with school buses, the Volvo VNR semis you see in California.
Hmm.
That's a completely different game because those architectures are completely different from the passenger vehicle counterparts.
Hmm.
They have to have extra packs, heating, cooling systems. It's completely different. But then your range, you're not going to get out of a semi what you're going to get out of a Lucid, just because that's all that mass you have to move.
A lot of mass.
That's just the laws of physics at that point.
What about that 3-wheel car company that's launching later this year?
3-wheel.
Out of California. I'm drawing a blank on the name. They look kind of like a motorcycle / airplane, and they have solar panels on the top. To my understanding, they're the first car to have solar panels.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the name either.
Dude,
but
I put a deposit on one like 3 years ago. That's why I forgot the name. It's been so long. But hopefully they come out soon. Question is, what do you think that's going to do to the auto industry, having solar on your car?
So there has been some work delving into using solar and even the positioning of the sun to dictate how your car functions.
Yeah.
On a side note, I've been an Acura customer for 8 years now. Just kept trading up, and I know on the advanced models, that antenna that sits in your car, what they designed was that based on the temperature of your car, which obviously if the sun's beating on it, it's going to get hot, so that it knows automatically based on the positioning of the sun to turn your AC.
Serious?
It does. And I'm sure other companies have done it too, but Acura, some of that migrated over to some of the Honda models, but they were talking about that for a while. And I know with solar, the best use case is going to be to extend the range on the battery to take some of that stress off. It can't hold enough energy, unfortunately, to run by itself, but I could see it being used in a mild hybrid fashion to where it helps the other onboard systems to not be taxed as much.
Tell me more about the tax. Is that a big buzzword in the auto industry right now?
Yeah. I mean,
How come? I'm hearing stuff like that lately.
Yeah, the tax, I mean, everything's going to have a cost, right? You have a dollar amount assigned to everything, but even from a technological standpoint, because when you're stressing systems, that's what you have to look at and say, okay, what does it cost to do this?
Yeah.
If I want to make a new car, there was actually a company for South by Southwest, and I didn't know they built the LiDAR systems that are in the Waymos, in other automotive brands.
What is LiDAR?
So it's actually, when you look at cars, look at what's actually on top of them. You see they have a camera.
Yeah.
But understand that camera is rotating 360 degrees, and there's actually a laser in there. It's scanning the area. So
there's the L in the LiDAR stand for laser?
Possibly. I should know that one, but
It's okay.
maybe.
Hey, I'm a car enthusiast. I don't know what LiDAR is. All right. It's okay. Yeah.
You'll hear that a lot, but that's technical jargon for it's an advanced camera system that's scanning the area, and depending on how advanced it is, it's not just seeing physically the road conditions. They can see people, they can see animals, they can see, just a lot of different things. But
Ghosts.
Allegedly, I don't know.
I saw that on YouTube. Tesla pulls up to a graveyard and there's a little ghost on there. A person. You seen
Interesting.
that?
I saw one clip, but I don't know if that's. I don't know. When it comes to the afterlife, I don't know enough to really talk about it. I just.
Stay tuned for next episode of Lately Podcast where we cover the afterlife. Listen up, wing lovers. This ain't your average chicken wing. This is a Michelin-starred masterpiece. 24 years in the making, Sabalicious Wings brings you the ultimate umami explosion. 22 expertly blended seasonings, dry rubbed to perfection, and finished with secret sauces that hit you with just the right heat on the back end. Don't just take our word for it. Order now at Sabalicious Wings ATX on Instagram and taste the magic for yourself. So John, let's bring it back a little bit here, okay? You've been in the automotive space for how long?
This will be my 8th year.
Your 8th year.
So,
okay.
Kind of going back to what you said before. Yeah. That time I was in school, kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. Had a job at Walgreens, needed to make more money. And somebody just sent me a link and said, hey, apply to the local Toyota store. And I thought, sure, I have nothing to lose. And it was actually funny. I did do a little stint being a tech for a couple of months because I said, hey, I'm just going to be a greeter, just get my foot in the door that way. They said, no, we actually need techs. And I'm like, I've never turned a wrench in my life. My family's the type, we'll take a car to a dealership and say, we're done with it. And they're like, no, we'll teach you. So I did that for a couple of months, but it's a funny story now. I did a tire rotation, and then there was a guy did the oil change. I'm resting my hand on the bonnet of the car, thinking, okay, I'm just gonna wait till I'm told to do the next thing. The guy then decides to shut the hood to the Toyota RAV4, that's what it was, with my hand like this, thinking, oh, yeah, I'm just gonna shut the hood and not check. And then my hand was stuck. It latched, and I had to sit there and wait until somebody could free the hood and I could yank my hand out. And from that day on, I was like, I'm not turning wrenches anymore. And then my GM at the time, he said, hey, there's another role. Just tell me if you want it, but you can be our technology specialist. And I thought, well, I like tech. Well, I like cars. It's a more fun job. Also, a little safer as well. So I thought, why not? I did so well at that job. Salespeople would always come to me. They said, John, you are our guy. I'm calling Toyota directly if I ever had questions. My team would also send me down to Chicago where, I would get my training, and I would go to Chicago, do the training, and teach everybody else how to speak to all the new features that were in Toyota. That was in 2017 when they completely revamped their lineup. The CEO of Toyota at the time said, we do not want to be like Buick. So that's when they came up with all those crazy designs, new engines, new transmissions. Everything was brand new.
When was this?
2017.
Interesting.
Because if you notice, they've never been the same since. Their designs got better.
Yeah.
The cars drive better now. They're just not. They weren't.
They were a little clunky back in the day.
They were clunky. You get in the old ones. They'll get you from point A to point B, but there's no soul to it. There was no joy. You just knew it wasn't gonna break on you as much.
Is there any people that you kind of admire in the auto industry by chance, whether it's a designer, whether it's like maybe a YouTube influencer that reviews cars, or anybody that you kind of pay attention to by chance? Could be Elon Musk. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I've seen a couple of people come and go over the years. I'm trying to think.
Got him. Stomped.
Yeah, because you kind of get focused on your own stuff, and you just you don't really think about other people. I mean, there's people I can say, wow, they did a really good job.
But what is it about the auto industry that's attractive to you, really? Because for me, I think it's just straight up fun. Okay, and everybody likes art in some way, shape, or form. I think the cars are a piece of art I could look at for a really long time. Right, go to the car shows, look cool. What does it do for you?
I think for me is what I really was able to find was I already like cars, but I was always a tech guy at heart. So to be on the more technological side of it, that's what always brought me joy because then I can lean into something I already like to do. Because when things are brand new, is shiny. You're the first in line. Nobody knows what it is. That stuff, there's a rush that I usually get because I like to be the first to something, or at least the first 10, right? So to be able to enrich lives that way has always brought me joy and is what keeps me back, well, grounded rather, and coming back every single day. Even if it's not with a particular company, I just find someone that says, hey, we need you to do this. And I just work with them on the project and go from there.
Dang. So one kind of little game I like to play is pretend I'm a fifth grader and you were to explain to me how you enrich the lives of others doing what it is you do. How would you explain it to them?
Yeah, so I would say that, automotive is an umbrella term, right? Ultimately, I focus on the mobility. I focus on you want to get from point A to point B. Do you want to go fast? Do you want to be the most seen person? Do you care about opulence and having something where you have a heritage behind it? Or do you like tech? Do you just say, I don't want to drive. I want it to drive for me. So my job is really to make sure whatever mode of transportation you want to use, you can do that in a way that aligns with you. I have a lot of friends, they don't drive, even in Austin. Some of them say, hey, I'm going to Uber. There's also people that say, I don't want to get in an Uber. I don't feel safe. I trust the Waymo more than an Uber. And then
Yeah.
there's people that say, no, I want to have a privatized experience. I want to have my own vehicle. But then everybody drives differently. They have different needs. A person that's driving a sports car is not going to have the same need as a, family that's in a pickup truck or something. So to be able to identify those needs and then work with the customer on how do you get the most out of what you're trying to get done, that's what brings me joy because I know I left something behind and that's something that that person will appreciate.
What kind of car you want, John?
Hmm,
Wave one. It's in front of you right now. It's yours. What is it?
There's two cars right
Nope.
now.
You don't get one. Sorry.
I know. Well, I know this. I gotta pick one. It's down to two though.
Oh,
I think I'll go with a 911.
really?
Mm-hmm.
What year?
Mm,
One brand new one? All tech?
yeah, it would have to be newer, because like the old ones, great. You pay for the driving experience,
Yeah.
but you get the nice features in the new one. Yeah, I want a little bit above. So maybe a 992 or no 992. Yeah, even if it's like a 2020 or 2021, it's fine.
Okay. What color?
For
You
me,
know, it says a lot about you what color you pick. So just
yeah.
just curious.
Well, interior, exterior,
Would you do a yellow?
no,
Oh,
too bright.
okay.
Yeah. I mean, I would have one for a little bit, but I wouldn't be satisfied with it. I would say if I had to pick a color, my exterior would be maybe like a pearlescent white. And then,
Now we're
you know,
talking.
and then what I'd probably do, let's do a machine gray finish for the rims,
Mm,
multi-spoke, interior. Let's do a white interior. I know that's sacrilege for a lot of people just because of the maintenance, but just get it treated. I
sure.
don't wear a lot of blue jeans, so I'm not too worried about it. But I would want probably some piping on it too. So maybe I would actually go with blue. Actually, I did see that's what it was. I saw a Porsche recently and had a blue with white pinstripe interior.
Sharp.
So I would do that. Definitely
Mm,
do my Alcantara.
mm.
I prefer Alcantara over leather, but I would be that customer to really spend time just making sure every little detail was not missed.
You're a detail kind of guy, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
I notice it in your attire when you're out at places like the Hotel Proper Lounge or the Soho House on a Friday night. He said, look at this guy. He's got everything nailed to the T.
Mm-hmm.
How else does that show up in your life? Their detail.
I,
Because not everybody's like that. You got to admit.
mm-hmm.
Some messy people out there, uncoordinated people out there.
Oh yeah,
And nothing wrong with that.
right.
Some of the best artists in the world are like that. Detail.
I think for me, it shows up in the things I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
Not just my work, but even personally, right? Clothing. It could show up, if I'm using my computer. Everybody freaks out when they see my computer because my screen is blank, right? You go to my desktop, there's a few icons, nothing. But then you go to Google Chrome, I'm the guy that has 50 tabs open,
Mhm.
but that's because I know where everything is. So it's a calculated use case there. Also in my buying habits, I like to understand, what am I really investing in? Is it something that you throw it away, be done with it? Or is this a long purchase? You're like, hey, you're going to buy this, you're going to keep this for a while. So what's the value added for you? It could be if it's a cell phone, right? And this is something that you'll probably hear a lot is my personal phone is an Android. I've always been an Android guy, but my work phone is an iPhone. The reason being is, you
Double
know,
dipping, dude.
double dipping.
Man.
But for me, I've always been a guy, I have to know what's the processor speed, what's the GPU, what's the RAM, what's all these different things. And then it culminates into, how does that matter to me? And a lot of times it's, hey, this is a good product. I don't like to say a product's not good, but I do say if it's not for me, it's not for me, because I've already ran through if it makes sense for what I'm going to use it for. So that's what I think is my biggest thing is, how am I going to use that product and what's going to fit me the best?
I'm going to go out on a limb here. What video games did you play growing up, John?
Oh God. I did a lot of like single player, story driven games. If you remember
Yeah.
the Batman Arkham franchise,
Yeah.
if you remember Death Stranding, I'm actually playing through that right now. Really good, but just a lot of depth to the story. Deus Ex, so sci-fi RPG. So stuff that really there was a story behind it, or something that kind of was challenging. Call of Duty was, okay, I guess once in a while, but it's not for me.
No, you want the ones that make you really think,
Mhm.
strategize.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm starting to piece together the way you are, man. It's great. It's great. You're like an engineer, a deep thinker, a strategist.
Mhm.
Man, it's fired up. So I'm gonna ask you kind of an off the cuff, get to know John question. When I ask you about the first memory that comes to mind of you getting a Christmas present, any time in your life, what is that gift that you think of right now?
Hmm, that's a good question. Because I have to look back and think, which Christmas?
Dude, anything that pops up. It could be I got a tech deck one time, those finger skateboards. I remember that for some reason. I remember the day I got a Nintendo 64, I lost my shit. Does anything come up, John? No wrong answer. Oh boy, we're digging into the greats right now.
I'm thinking because holidays are just there's so much going on. It's always a blur, and I'm just trying to think what was that one gift somebody got, and I was like, okay,
Oh, I got another one for you. You think about that.
yeah.
What's the best date spot in Austin, John?
Oh, best date spot. Well, you know, I hear a lot of good things about.
No. That you like.
Oh, that I like.
Yeah, it's get to know John.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say maybe, you know, I would love to try the new Aura's Steakhouse de Santal.
So you want, yeah.
Mm.
Well, you can go on open table, you know that.
Yeah, that's true.
They're not too far booked out. Like Red Ash was.
That's
Freaking
true.
A. 3 months out.
If 3 months, sometimes longer. When the pandemic ended, I mean, you couldn't get a reservation for the longest time.
Right. Apparently it's open again. Which I didn't know until 3 days ago.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they're open.
Best view in the city. What do you like?
Best food in the city.
View. My bad.
View. Oh, view.
Yeah, I gotta enunciate better.
Honestly, Nito.
You
It's
like
at
Nito?
it's at the Lauren, and
Yeah.
that view, it just
That's a good date spot.
that particular angle, I think that encapsulates Austin the best.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. You eat there or you go to the bar?
Sometimes I'll go. Usually, like, I'll try to get outside or go inside.
Yeah.
The bar, you know, it's not really a bar place for me, but I'm not opposed to it.
Okay. And the last question I got for you, John. All right. If there's one message that you want to leave, if somebody's going to listen to this episode 150 years from now, right, and your descendants are going to listen, what's one message you want to share with them?
I would say follow your passion. Also, just be open to the universe, because going back to what you said before, did I ever see where I'm at now? And the answer is no. And no wasn't just a one ticket no. It was a no throughout my journey. But opening myself up, even if it was just a little bit, to the unknown is what has brought me so much success and gratitude along the way. Because sometimes you really don't know. You have to trust God, the universe, whatever you believe in, that whatever you're doing is for your better good and then the better good of other people.
Now, John, if somebody wants to get a hold of you and talk about the bigger picture in the auto industry, or just talk shop, maybe get to know you a little bit better, how do they find you?
Yeah. My Instagram handle is jon.tucker.975. Very active on LinkedIn as well. That's actually a project I'm working on. I was trying to be more active, maybe do a newsletter this year. Because to your point, I think there's a lot of people in it, but they're not talking about it enough. And I want to be someone to talk about it more.
Get the conversation flowing.
Yep.
Awareness is key.
Yep.
I like it. Well, John, thank you so much for coming on the Elite League podcast. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. Thank you so much. It's a Sunday afternoon during South by Southwest, everybody. You made it happen. You fired it up. You took it from a 9 to a 10. Appreciate it.
That's what I do. Thank you for having me on.
Of course, thanks for tuning in. Greg Carlson, Elite League podcast. Make sure to hit that thumbs up, smash that subscribe, and most importantly, stay fired up. Till next time.